Aloha, it's another Monday night lock and load, and we're going to Pono Gun Rights. Pono is Hawaiian for righteous. Kakua is work, so Kakua Pono is doing righteous work about gun rights. So we're going to talk over President Obama's 23 executive actions. And we have a list here. We're going to go over them and try and figure out what's up with them. And we're going to do the right thing is find out if he is. All right, so we have from Florida our friend and fellow Fox Company prepping fan, Eric.
Yep.
So we started looking at these 23 things, and we'll just take them one at a time. See, issue 1, issue a presidential memorandum to require federal agencies to make relevant data available to federal background check system. I assume that means put the terrorist watch list on the background check system. And the problem is anybody can be put on the terrorist watch list without any trial or recourse to get off of it. You know, President or Senator Kennedy was on it. We've had children on it, infants, and probably more than a few innocent people got put on there through for erroneous reasons. So it's not like you get a court hearing or anything. You just get put on a list. And they could take everybody from the NRA member list and put those people on the terrorist watch list if they want to. I mean, Hillary Clinton has called Republicans and NRA the enemy, more dangerous than ISIS. So anyway, what are your thoughts on number one?
Well, I was just, I was kind of more leaning toward thinking that was going to be like, any the data available would be any data they could, obtain through social media instead of, require federal agencies to make relevant data available to the federal background check system, which is NCIC, I would assume. I would think that they would be fishing through social media data because everyone else is. And maybe that meant something entirely different. I don't know.
I'm not sure, like NSA metadata, if that would do them any good.
Yeah, I don't either. I figured at some point social media would be a part of their, I don't know, that is a part of everyone else's. Whenever they want to kind of regulate people, jobs. I mean, jobs are affected by social media. So I figured the government would be big enough. I know that if you post on social media wads of cash, the FBI will call you. I've had them call me twice. So it does happen. So I assume that the relevant data would be that, but maybe it's something entirely different.
Your IRS tax returns?
Mm-hmm. Anything, yeah. I mean, if anything is suspicious, you could end up on a list. And then that would keep you or prevent you, or at least be a stumbling block for you to crawl over to obtain a permit or anything of that nature. I don't know.
Well, it's a pretty vague kind of a thing.
It is. And that's why I go different directions with vague statements.
Yeah, it's pretty vague directive.
Mm-hmm.
What is relevant data?
Right.
To make relevant data available, what is relevant data?
Well, in this situation, as they are addressing, the president's under scrutiny by children and people who have lost loved ones in gun shootings at schools. Most of this is directed at your school systems. Most of these on this list. Those are your average common Joes running around, and not people who are on a federal list already of some sort. So, how would you obtain uh, relevant data, whatever that may be?
I don't even know what relevant data is.
Exactly. They could define that as anything they choose.
Right, could be anything. Anything could disqualify you
Right.
in a background check. Complaint that your dog barked too loud one night.
Well, if the cop showed up at your house and your name was taken and written down on a piece of paper or a report, that could be relevant data for any reason.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody's had their name taken down for something.
I haven't ever had run across that yet. I haven't been on.
No police officer ever asked you for your name?
Other than a traffic stop,
All right, well, let's go to number 2. Address unnecessary legal barriers, particularly relating to Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, that may prevent states from making information available to the background check system. So I assume they mean like medical privacy. So if your state has a medical privacy law, then they want to bypass that and just dump all your information into the system. So
and that would be again the NCIC system.
Well, what they tried to do in Hawaii was the House didn't pick it up, but and it died in committee. But the Senate passed the Hawaii Senate passed a law that said anybody who was under the effect of any medication was disqualified from possessing a firearm. So if you literally went to the dentist, got a shot of Novocaine, had some dental work done, picked up a prescription for pain pill, went home, took it, and went to sleep, you're now disqualified from possessing a firearm. So, I mean, it was so stupid that, the Senate voted for it.
Pull all the Walgreens reports and CVS pharmacies.
Yeah, and then they just seized everyone's guns. It was such a stupid law that the House, the Senate passed it because we have idiot senators in Hawaii. And they also just passed, basically 4 different types of driver's license so that, illegal aliens can get driver's licenses, basically. Like provisional driver's licenses of, there's 4 new different types of driver's licenses. So anybody can get, state ID. But I think this is, what I saw last weekend was at the AME church and all where they had the shooting, and they had a conference of medical doctors basically coming up with gun violence is they're describing like gun violence as a disease, so they can use doctors to prescribe whatever the cure is, which I assume will be gun confiscation. So if there's an outbreak of violence in a certain neighborhood, they could just prescribe gun confiscation for all their patients in that area. You know, they can't like amputate everybody's trigger's fingers. They would just put in hooks or something anyway. So they could still pull the trigger. But it was just weird listening to them describe violence, not somebody shooting somebody, as a disease.
Well,
And they're trying to draw like comparisons to other diseases, and it just they have their own medical language, and they were just parsing gun control in violence in the language of disease, and that's what they want to use as a Center for Disease Control. I don't think violence is a disease.
No, they're just killers. The people who are doing this it's pretty simple. They're killers,
this has to do with, I think a lot of the violence, like in Chicago and in these places, has to do with drug gangs, which is not like your regular American. I mean, I don't know, maybe there are more and more drug gangs. I don't know what the percentages, but again, they're coming, they do come in. Some of them are local, but some of them come in gangs from South America. So there's a lot of drug gangs in South America. As a matter of fact, it dominates the culture there in many countries.
Right.
And I guess it dominates in part of Chicago too. But, using the Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, they, they're lowering barriers to eliminate your medical privacy.
Well, unfortunately, it's all Obamacare for the majority or the masses or the youth, really.
Well, basically, the problem with Obamacare, I mean, I think everybody gets thrown onto Medicaid, but the problem is that 20% of the population can afford health insurance and 80% of the population cannot. And those are the basic economic demographics of it. So if you want to give away healthcare for free to 80% of the population, then just do it. But, you just better do the math to make sure you can afford it. And, and then using healthcare, I mean, you get penalized if you don't do it. And then when you do, they want to, use your doctors to,
I wonder how Massachusetts would handle this, because Massachusetts is free healthcare system. It's paid through taxes and whatnot. The state of Massachusetts doesn't have they don't follow typical healthcare policies.
What, they don't have Medicaid?
Well, they have that, but they don't have the state provides your healthcare for you in the state of Massachusetts. So if you need to go see the doctor, you don't really need anything. You just go see the doctor. So, and I think the prior president was looking at that system, but I don't know how they would handle this either, because this is, again, if they provide your health insurance, well, I guess it would be all recorded, so it doesn't matter. It's a moot point. It's recorded.
Okay. Number 3, improve incentives for states to share information with the background check system. So basically they're saying incentives that means they'll withhold federal funds if states don't do what they want. So much for state rights.
So Jesse saying don't die in your chat, so I'm not quite sure.
Don't die on my chat.
I don't know what that means.
No, that's me coughing. He knows I'm recovering from infection. I'm on so much purple cough syrup right now. I'm afraid to take any more.
Well, it's not dengue. I guess we made it past that, right?
Doctor doesn't think it's dengue now.
Hmm.
Because I didn't break out in a rash.
Right.
So I had a lot of the other symptoms like
Hmm.
that. Anyway, let's see. What's our next one? Number 4?
Number 3.
I read number 3. I just
Oh, okay. All right.
Basically, that's the federal government withholding funds to the states that don't do what they want. So, if you don't play ball, if you don't want to play ball with the Obama administration, the states don't get any money from the federal government for anything. That's number 3. All right, number 4. Well, they've been doing that forever, but anyway, number 4, direct the Attorney General to review categories of individuals prohibited from having a gun to make sure dangerous people are not slipping through the cracks. What cracks?
Yeah, exactly. You get a check or you don't. You get, you go buy a gun at the gun store.
Look, I mean, either you've been convicted of crime, or you
Right.
haven't.
Yeah, yes or no. I think it is a yes/no question on the form.
Yeah, and either you've been convicted of a crime or you're not. Slipping. What dangerous people are they talking about? I mean,
Private sales.
Probably Republicans.
Yeah.
Republicans and NRA members. Those are the dangerous people, according to Hillary Clinton.
Right. I'm guessing it's for the private people selling guns to each other. I don't know.
Yeah, so I mean, that's something I really never kind of, got. Like, so if your father buys a gun, you can't give it to your son. You can't sell it to your son. You can't. Well, I mean, I think you can do it if it's a gift, but to a family member without it being a straw purchase, I don't know.
Yeah.
None of these laws make any sense to me. It's like it's private property rights. If you own something, you should be able to sell it to somebody without the government being involved.
All right.
And
don't get some of these.
I'm trying to figure out who had a really good chat. Made a really good video the other night. Mr. Polecat made a good video on his channel talking about the Federalist Papers and what Madison was talking about and Jefferson in the Federalist Papers, and he cited the specific ones was that he wanted there to be more gun owners in each state, so many armed citizens in each state that the federal government army would be so outnumbered if they tried to impose something that the states didn't want, that it would be just suicidal for them, So, yeah, he did want the citizens to have the same exact stuff that the government had, So, where's my, saw, my 50 caliber and my M48 grenade launcher, where's my tank, the government has all these things, but that's what, they act like we're crazy, but these, the founding fathers who wrote the Constitution and the Bill of Rights and the Federalist Papers. So anyway, I digress, but I give kudos to Mr. Polecat for his video on that. And if you have time, you have to check out his channel. Yeah. He's on gun channels a bit. Right. Anyway, that was a good video I liked that he made. It was a long one. It was like 25 minutes or something, because going over all the Federalist Papers takes a while, I know Obama has read the Federalist Papers, but anyway. All right, number 5, proposed rulemaking to give law enforcement the ability to run a full background check on an individual before returning a seized gun.
I don't know of anybody returning seized guns, but
They're not in a mad rush to return a gun once they've seized it.
yeah.
They're also not in a rush to forfeiture them because they sometimes lose those cases. And like in Hawaii, I had a whole chat on that. Not allowed to. They've lost their forfeiture cases, but that hasn't stopped them from seizing guns. They just don't put them through the forfeiture, proceeding. So, but they're
Right.
not in any rush to return them. So this is like a problem that doesn't exist.
Looked like a circle to me. It's like an inevitable circle, really.
It's like if they seize your guns, they're not going to give them back to you.
Right.
Short of a court order from a judge, which
That has been done.
Oh yeah,
It
costs you a lot of money to get one of those.
Yeah, right. It'd have to be real precious.
Lawyers aren't free. and it's cheaper just to buy an illegal gun than it is to hire a lawyer and get your legal gun back legally. I mean, and illegal guns aren't cheap, but not that I would know, but I've seen a few things on TV, but about illegal guns.
So if you had a gun and they seized it, and before returning the seized gun, they run a full background check. Well, you already had a full background check to get the gun in the first place, right?
Yeah. Well, they want to run another one, but they're afraid of police.
Like something happened in between the two.
I'm just trying to figure out this police force that's in such a mad rush to give back all these guns that they've seized.
Right. Yeah. That'll never happen.
Like they need to have a holiday like gun give back day or something.
Right. Yeah. They got the buyback day. Why not?
How about the give back day?
Yeah, there you go.
Come back, you can all pick up your seized guns. That'd be like, I don't know. I'm just trying to even imagine that, and I can't. Anyway, okay, 6. Published a letter from the ATF to federally licensed gun dealers providing guidance on how to run background checks for private sellers. So I guess the concept is, first of all, gun dealers don't want people to buy guns from each other. They want them to buy gun dealers from the gun dealers. It's just basic business. Why you want to buy a used gun from somebody else? Buy a new gun from me. Support your local businesses and stuff like that. And so, but instead of making $20 on running a background check, they just don't want to do it in the first place. So
sounds like they want to teach someone who has an FFL how to run background checks, but they already know that. So, I mean, that's another pointless item, I think.
Well, it's pointless because you're telling a gun shop owner, not to sell guns to people, to let people, it hurts their business to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if 100 people come in and buy guns from each other and they make $20 a background check, well, they can make that $2,000 by just selling like 2 or 3 of those people a new gun. So, retail doesn't have that much of a margin, but it's like you're telling somebody how to run their business. So that's all right. 7, launch a national safe and responsible gun ownership campaign.
That ought to generate some advertisement.
Well, I'm sure some ad agency is going to make a lot of money.
Right.
Those ads.
Right.
They got to get that guy who does the that black guy that does the commercials for.
The insurance guy.
The which one?
The insurance guy, tall black guy.
It's you're thinking about the State Farm.
Yeah.
You're in good hands with.
There you go. Yeah.
Glock 17.
Yeah. Support the NRA.
Somehow the NRA is going to get involved with this.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's 4 basic rules of gun safety that if they just want to put them up on the TV screen every once in a while, that'd be fine. Don't point your muzzle at something you're not willing to completely destroy. Don't
Right.
put your finger on the goddamn trigger until you're ready to shoot what your muzzle is aimed at.
Right.
Those are the
those are
ones.
common. Yeah, those are
but
common.
some people don't know, but that's not what they want to do. They just, who knows? It's like the government is going to tell us, how to be safe and responsible with guns.
It'd be interesting to see what they come up with on teaching how to be more responsible. Yeah.
Well, I don't know about interesting. It make a good, TV show.
9-minute spot or 12 minutes or whatever.
Just make it a daily, make it a weekly satire, like Happy Days with guns or something. Fonzie shows up with a Tommy gun.
Hey,
hey, the Fonz.
He's packing a GP 100.
Well, what's a good motorcycle gun?
Yeah, right. Well, that's a good one.
Well, a GP 100 is a good anything gun, but all right. Let's see what's next. Review standards for gun locks and gun safes. Well, I will say that most gun safes. The only thing I've been for is I think there should be a tax deduction for gun safes because they cost good gun safes. I don't mean the cheap ones with that you could cut through with any saw, but I mean a good gun safe actually costs quite a bit of money, and I think there should be tax deductions for gun safes. But I know that wasn't in his 23 points because that might actually make sense.
No, that's a good one.
Review safety standards. Well, the problem with gun safes is they're basically, a lot of them are just, you could take a chainsaw and cut through the side of them. All this, a lot of them, all the steel and is, in the door, and none of it's on the sides. There's plenty of videos out there that show how to, use a chainsaw or an electric saw to cut through a gun safe.
Well, and the gun locks, every gun is I have bought has had a padlock for the barrel or handgun, and they're very cheesy. Some of them don't even work right, but
and I don't think anybody that uses them that actually thinks they may actually need their gun for self-defense.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
The last thing you want to do is putz with a gun lock while somebody's breaking down your door and
right
hurting your family. So,
I prefer the fingerprint methods. Those are pretty reliable and quick.
Yeah, well, I like the James Bond movie. Obviously, it doesn't work like in a James Bond movie where one of the bad guys, he's in a fight and one of the bad guys gets his gun, and Q had given him a fingerprinted, DNA. You have to be his DNA for the gun to work.
They have bracelets, but the guns are ridiculously expensive.
I don't think the technology's there.
No.
It worked really cool in the movie, so that's not real life.
No. Not there yet.
See, 9, issue a presidential memorandum to require federal law enforcement to trace guns recovered in criminal investigations.
Which should most have serial numbers removed.
Right. Well, they're also, I guess they're talking ballistics too. I don't know. I know that they can lift serial numbers off of, some guns that I guess that they've had their, depending on how much of the metal I guess they took off, where the serial number is. But I don't know. A lot of guns nowadays have it in multiple places, the serial number. I don't know.
Right.
Sounds like a nice make work program for a lot of government employees. Won't necessarily do anybody any good. Number 10, release a DOJ report. Release a report analyzing information lost on lost and stolen guns to make it widely available to law enforcement. Oh, my God, they're going to build a website.
Yeah,
with lawsuits.
exactly. So you can put your serial number of your gun you lost out there.
Make it
Kind of like a
widely available.
Carfax.
Carfax for gun facts.
There you go.
Wow, my gun shot JFK. Yeah.
Found it by the railroad last week.
Yeah. All right. Well, that
Pointless
yeah.
information.
All right. Nominate an ATF director. Well,
Shouldn't
he's
that be number
president.
one?
He can nominate. He can nominate whoever he wants at any time. It's about getting Congress to approve an ATF director. That he there's nothing that has been stopping President Obama from nominating an ATF director. I mean, the last guy quit over the green tip ban, and they haven't appointed anybody else because they know that Congress will reject any of his gun control, gun seizing, happy, people that he wants to appoint.
That's why we're here now. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I volunteer to be the ATF director. Alcohol, tobacco, and if I'm in charge of the
And you gotta
ATF,
vote. All right.
then everybody gets free alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. Instead of free healthcare, you have a choice. You can either have free healthcare, Obamacare, or you can have free alcohol, tobacco, and firearms. It's up to you.
I could get you on the ballot somehow.
There's
That's no bullshit.
well, I don't live in Florida though. I live in Hawaii.
That's true. Exactly.
Might be a bit of a commuting problem.
Dogs are voting over here.
So. Dogs are voting?
Yeah.
Well, hey, they got dead people voting in Chicago. Why not dogs?
That's right.
So, which is my opportunity to once again mention that Biker Bob did the nicest thing anybody ever did on gun channels was he picked up a rescue dog and made a video, rescued a dog from a pound, and he's adopted it. So that's the nicest thing anybody on gun channels ever did. I got a soft spot for dogs. So Biker Bob is got an extra 100 points of cred coolness on the Hawaii Volcano Squad channel. But anyway, 12. I still can't get over number 11. He doesn't need anybody's. I mean, he's the president. He can nominate whoever he wants. It's he
can try, right?
I mean, what?
He can try, right?
He can nominate whoever he wants. Why does he need to make? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Number 12, provide law enforcement, first responders, and school officials with proper training for active shooter situations. Don't they do that already?
I don't know. I know some teachers in Florida are allowed to carry a concealed weapon now. So I hope they have proper training for active shooter situations already.
Well, I would think that law enforcement would have training
drills.
Pick up on the lessons they've learned from previous situations. All right, number 13, maximize enforcement efforts to prevent gun violence and prosecute gun crime. But last time I checked, if you shoot somebody, they do put you in jail.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's going to catch you.
There's a strong chance you won't ever own a gun after that.
Yeah, not legally anyway.
All right.
It's against the law to kill people. It's against the law to shoot people. And it's wrong to hurt people unless you've got a valid self-defense reason to do so. So, maximize enforcement. I mean, I don't know. Number 14, issue a presidential memorandum directing the Centers for Disease Control to research the causes and prevention of gun violence. Congress pass a law saying that you cannot spend any money for that?
Let's see. Is that going to be like ADD and ADHD and all that now? Maybe they're going to come up with a new.
Well, I mean,
cause.
standing on the street corner selling drugs and shooting your rival competition. That I mean, that's the cause of gun violence.
The number one, yeah. Right now.
I see Mr. Polecat made it into the chat. I was talking about him earlier. All right. All right. Let's see. Yeah, basically, I thought Congress basically said that nobody can spend any money to do this kind of research. And so the president's saying we're going to do this kind of research. So I don't know where he's going to get the money if Congress won't fund it. But all right, number 15. Direct the Attorney General to issue a report on the availability of the most effective use of new gun safety technologies and challenge the private sector to develop innovative technologies. Well, the best safety is between your ears, but I don't know. I know our president has ears, but as far as what's between them, I don't know. All right. 16. Clarify that the Affordable Care Act does not prohibit doctors from asking patients about guns in their homes. I mean, what I'm trying to figure out, what would I say if a doctor asked me if I had a gun in my home?
I have no idea, but that had me rolling earlier. I have no idea how that conversation would even start with my doctor.
I'd say, bend over and cough 3 times. I don't know how to answer that question.
I don't either.
17. Release a letter to healthcare providers clarifying that no federal law prohibits them from reporting threats of violence to law enforcement authorities. Well, if somebody threatens to commit a violent act, yeah, you can report that. I mean, doesn't everybody? I mean, that's like, it's okay to call the cops. I mean, how I know I haven't met any healthcare providers that are that dumb. They're that dumb to know that they can't call the cops if somebody threatens.
Yeah,
they might be afraid, but it's all right.
So they're just going to release a letter to the healthcare provider saying, "Don't be afraid anymore."
Well, there's a lot of useless postage.
Yeah.
All right, number 18. You're killing a lot of trees with that one. Number 18. Provide incentives for schools to hire high school resource officers.
Has that rent a cops with guns?
School resource officers?
Yeah.
I it's been so long since high school.
It's been a while. Yeah.
I remember some things about high school, but that's not one of the things I remember. So we'll skip that one because I'm going to claim old age on that one. Number 19, develop model emergency response plans for schools, houses of worship, and institutes of higher education.
Another broad.
Another what?
It's kind of another broad thing. Houses of worship. I do believe you can carry a concealed weapon in a house of worship, and it's really up to the pastor's discretion. But now in Texas, they passed the open carry.
Well, my Torah is going to have like a rocket launcher built into it. So
okay, all right, a little less concealable.
Well, you roll out the Torah scrolls, and one of the handles comes off, and it's really a rocket launcher.
Okay.
That ought to make Fox Prepping Company give them something to talk about. All right.
Right.
Let's see. Release. Well, I don't know what schools, houses of worship, and institutions of higher education, have to do with anything. But
Well,
20.
emergency plan. An emergency response plan would be some sort of plan for everyone to get out of
Somebody
the
put the
church
plan
when somebody
in.
breaks out shooting.
Yeah, emergency plan. Pray if you're in in the school they're not they have separation of church and state, so you can't pray to God if you're in a school.
Right.
So how could you'd have to have a different plan for house of worship than if you're in a publicly
Run like
funded school.
we'll run like hell.
Run like hell.
Teacher won't stop you.
In a school, God won't save you, but
That's true.
in a house of worship, He might. So
We did have a shooting in a house of worship though, recently. That was last year. Somewhere, I can't remember.
well, I worship in my house. If somebody wants to break in and try and, I'll activate my own emergency response plan.
Right. I'm not sure how that emergency response plan is going to work for a house of worship. Though.
I don't know if
Really?
God will save me, but He definitely won't save you, whoever comes in and tries to fuck with me. So,
Yeah.
20, release a letter to state health officials clarifying the scope of mental health services that Medicaid plans must cover. Well, this is one of those things where I think somebody in Gun Channel's nice guy in Arizona was saying his friend was a army, ex-army or ex-military. And he had problems, but he didn't want to go and ask for help, and he wound up shooting himself because he didn't want to ask for help because he was afraid he would lose his gun rights.
Right.
And even though he needed it, so that's like it's really hard one to deal with. It's like people that have. I mean, if you're in a combat zone, you're going to have some issues, and after it's I know even if you're not in a combat zone, if you're deployed overseas and your life is under threat, I mean that has to have an effect on you over time, and but I don't think that you want to automatically lose your rights, but you ought to be able to somehow get help, and they're not covering that. They don't. There should be some way that service members should, the military could get help, without just losing all their rights for doing so, automatically. Because, we put our military men and women in harm's way, and it has an effect on them and their families, and it doesn't go away. When somebody's trying to kill you, it doesn't just stop when you come home. That it doesn't, you don't turn off. It doesn't turn off automatically when you come back home. So there needs to be a better way in helping our service members deal with the
PTSD.
PTSD and
other forms of.
It's not just that. It's well, I can't even put it into words what our military has gone through. I can just describe what's happened to people in my family, but it's not an easy thing to deal with, and it doesn't stop after the war or when you come home. So.
No, you think about it years and years later too.
Yeah, for the rest of your life, really. So.
Yeah.
Anyway, as far as what Medicaid plans must cover for mental health, we definitely have. Well, didn't they, like in California, they closed all the mental hospitals because they just couldn't afford it? It was just a money thing, and money line item in the budget.
Yeah.
And
that's usually what gets them all.
Yeah, well, we have a $19 trillion debt. I think the current plan is just take all the insane people and vote them into office or something. So anyway, that's about as funny as I can make that. 21, finalize regulations clarifying essential health benefits and party requirements within ACA exchanges. Oh, so they're saying they need to. Oh, Obamacare does need some more work.
Right.
There's a surprise. What does that have to do with gun control? Number
Exactly.
22, commit to finalizing mental health parity regulations. What the hell is mental health parity regulation? What the hell is mental health parity? You're crazier than I am, or
That would do some that would require some research on my part as well, because I don't know what that would even
mental
obtain.
health parity? That means everybody. Everybody in the Republican Party is crazy, or something like that. I don't know what that means. Mental health parity regulations. Somebody that's
It was signed into law on September of 26, 1996. It requires an annual or lifetime dollar limit on mental health benefits. Um, it's a Mental Health Parity Act, I guess, MHPA. So I guess I'm gonna tweak that.
all right. Well, we only do so much background research. This is just a Google Hangout chat, so we do our best. But I'm gonna claim ignorance on this 22. So, 23, launch a national dialogue led by Secretary Sebelius and Duncan on mental health. Oh, that ought to go well. Well, don't we have enough problems with our election dialogue and debates? We need a dialogue on mental health. Or maybe we could do it at the same time. Everybody running for president. You have to be crazy to run for president. And you have to be insane to be elected. So,
Yeah, and there you go again.
Crazy to vote for any of them either. So, a national dialogue on mental health. Well,
I don't think that has anything to do with gun laws either, but
anybody that wants a gun is crazy. Is that what they're trying to say?
Maybe if they're trying to define, maybe it's.
There was a good movie called Gun Crazy, like from the 30s or something, that basically was a trick shooter, basically for a circus or whatever, falls for another trick shooter who was a girl, and they go from town to town doing trick shooting shows, and then I think the girl's from the wrong side of the tracks, and she gets the guy to commit some crime and rob banks, and then they're on the run and chased by the police. And, the movie's called Gun Crazy, so it was a love story kind of, but I don't know.
Must have been pre-Jerry Nicholas.
Black and white film.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just I don't know how much of this is Pono and how much of this is just I don't know what good this will do. I guess everybody has their own emergency plan for what to do in case somebody comes in their home and tries to, shoot up the place. I think most of us on gun channels, their plans would be to shoot back, rapidly.
Right. Shoot to the head and walk off.
And, I think in this country, most of us Americans are not for gun control because I think they figured out that the world's screwed up enough I could get into how the world's been screwed up lately today, but we all have a right to self-defense. Basic human right. God gave tigers teeth and claws. God gave men opposable thumb and brains and the ability to craft tools. So, whatever tool you choose for self-defense, whether it's a Glock or a 1911 or a wheel gun or a long gun of your choosing, we don't need the government to, get too involved with how we defend ourselves. I don't think anybody wants hands in the guns of criminals, and gangs, but nobody's going to stop them from getting them either. There's over 300 million guns in America as it is, and keeping people who want to follow the law from owning guns. I think, I don't know. It just doesn't make sense to me. But I don't think gun control has ever worked in the past. If there's too much gun violence in America, I'm not sure how to solve it, but I'm sure our president with two ears and nothing in between them can't solve it.
Well, not last minute either.
I think I could. What's that?
He's picking a fight with Pierre again, and the last time he picked a fight with the NRA, it didn't work out very well. So I'm not so sure. And I don't know what to make of this this list anyway, because is there going to be a revised list next week, or anything can happen.
Let's see what some people are saying here in the chat.
Well, and that kind of goes with Jesse James. He made a comment, So I guess tomorrow we may find more executive orders.
Well, these are executive actions. So theoretically, they're not executive. There's a difference between an executive action and an executive order. A slight
difference,
but
Yeah, there's a lot of people in the chat, gun channels chat right now.
Yeah.
It's grown.
Well, I think it's a gun channels kind of a topic, these 23 executive actions. I put it in the list. Let's see. Yeah, the Forbes.com site.
Right.
Executive orders on gun safety, 23 executive orders. But I thought I thought they were executive actions, and there was they were talking about the difference between executive actions and executive orders. I don't know.
Well, it says he has signed 23 executive orders designed to address the problem, but underneath that it says gun violence reduction executive actions, and then the list. So it says both.
Right. Well, I wouldn't. Doesn't surprise me that not only do we not know what the president is doing, but the government doesn't know what they're doing. So, well, I think we covered it pretty much.
Yeah.
You think there's anything good in here?
I don't see, other than attempting, to nominate an ATF director, which is not. I don't see, and a lot of it doesn't have to really necessarily do with gun control or gun, the topic, the top line topic, gun violence reduction, executive actions. Some of these we have discussed and found that what do they have to do with that topic? It doesn't make sense. So I'm sure this will go spin around all over the place. Everybody will be talking about the list.
And if the federal government publishes a plan on how to respond to active shooter situations, people that want to commit active shootings, well, they're going to read that plan and come up with a counter strategy. I mean,
right. It's like hacking your phone or rooting your phone.
it's like that movie. It's like in Die Hard when the terrorists know exactly what the FBI is going to do, so they manipulate them to get them to do what they want. I don't know.
Well, if you create a block, somebody will figure out a way to get around it just because there is a block. So yeah.
Now, as far as the list on stolen guns, I don't know how you would analyze it or something. I mean, it's just a list of stolen guns.
Well, and I'm not so sure would a normal average person have the serial number that was on their gun when it was stolen anyway? When they write it down on a sticky note or
well, in my state they give you a piece of paper, and
they don't here.
Yeah,
you get
we have mandatory registration.
Oh, well, yeah.
So, I don't know. I don't know how to define what cracks dangerous people are slipping through. If they either buy a legal gun or they buy an illegal gun. So, and it's just a question of money. And I think the people that are doing all the shooting most of them are in drug gangs, and it's just business.
Or mentally, I mean, they're not. There's just something isn't right that formed during childhood, like the whole Columbine situation. Those kids were there wasn't something right in the beginning. That there was something wrong in their thought process, and they're not your ordinary kids playing on the playground either.
Yeah,
it's just
not. I'm not really sure what the answer is. It's more like a society problem. Want to legalize drugs or illegalize drugs, or I don't know what the solution is to this, but we tried our best to cover all this stuff so people at least could know what the heck Obama's doing.
Right.
Doesn't seem like too much. I eagerly await his nomination for ATF director. Who do you think he's going to nominate?
I don't know. I wouldn't even have a clue. I'm not that in tune with who would be in line, you might say, for candidate for a position. So,
yes. Well, all right. I think we covered that one. As far as just general things in the world, it's fucked up today. Stock market crashed. Iran and Saudi Arabia are right on the edge of a shooting war. Hezbollah is threatened to shoot all of its rockets at Israel. And they, got Russian air cover now. So the Mideast is going to hell in a handbasket again. And so this is what our president did today while all that was happening.
Yeah. Didn't Kim Jong-un threaten again? He threatened us the other day again for he has nuclear incentives, nuclear whatever.
Well,
he's active again. I saw a piece of that somewhere in the news, CNN.
Surprised they had time to squeeze that in between Trump making fun of Bill Clinton and Monica Lewinsky. But
exactly, again, yeah.
And I think he's basically saying that Hillary Clinton is enabling her husband by trashing all the girls who claim that they had sex with Bill Clinton. So,
Well, she doesn't. spilled out all her emails. I don't think her running is as high as it was.
I'd like to see her emails right after she found out about Monica.
Yeah. Said, well, why don't we publish some of those?
That ought to be really interesting.
Yeah. It's in there in the mix with the top secret ones.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, just letting Bill Clinton in the White House again, you know. But probably not the best idea. But you know, why doesn't she just give him a hotel room in Vegas and let him do what he wants?
Yeah.
You know? Like all the other pervs. So you'd feel right at home there.
In Miami, they put them. They put them out somewhere under the highway.
The hookers?
Yeah. No. Sex offenders. They live in a sex offender camp out by the highway, and I don't remember what highway, but you're not allowed to live in town if you're a sex offender, registered sex offender. You have to live in this little registered sex offender city, I guess. So put Bill in there and we'll move on.
Well, I just let him have fun in Vegas. I mean, you know, who cares? But what you do in the White House is supposed to be a little different. But you know,
well, he'd be a visitor again.
Visitor tag on Bill Clinton. Oh, that's interesting. Where'd he put his tag?
All
right. So I think we covered most everything. The world's going to hell. The stock market's crashing. Manufacturing is down, and next week, at the end of the week, nobody's going to be able to, or basically all the major stockholders in China are going to be able to sell all their stocks. They were prohibited from doing it, and basically China was a limit down, and the market shut down for the day because they were 7% down. So then everything else crashed while China was shut down. So
stock up on your preps.
Yeah, you know, it's a good time to have all your guns and ammo stocked up and stacked up, and canned food, and have fun watching some bushcrafting videos. Maybe learn a new skill or two. You know, check out Fox Prepping Company. They always got some crazy bushcrafters talking an absolute shit and having fun. And I like watching their show on Fridays. You know, I don't think the UK, I mean, as they're, you know, they got their own problems, but you know, I guess we got our problems and they got their problems. So
you think their problems are more realistic than ours when you see them on their videos, though.
Well,
they are surrounded by water,
so I think the big thing over there is there's going to be a Brexit if Britain is going to exit the EU. But,
right.
You know, and it's all about money, you know. So, just like everything else, it's all about money. And I don't know. I feel like my main goal is to get some glass for my new 527 CZ carbon before the entire world goes to shit. So, so I can reach out with that thing to like all the other guys on the YouTube videos that were shooting it to 500 yards.
Well, you'll have to get some loophole.
If I can find a 16 millimeter loophole scope somewhere, I haven't been able to. But I'll go into the gun shop tomorrow and rattle the guy's cage and see if he can help me. I think Loophole was out of, or at least Davidson's was out of the one that I was looking at, out of stock on it. So
yeah, I'm going to the gun shop tomorrow and probably going to pick me up a 10 millimeter. I don't have one of those yet.
Oh, you going to get a new handgun?
Yeah, they look interesting.
Which one?
10 millimeter, a Glock.
A Glock 10 millimeter?
Yeah.
You can actually, that's one of the few guns you can go hunting in Hawaii with, is a 10 millimeter Glock.
Huh. I have a 21C. which you don't see very often. A C has the compensated slots in the barrel for recoil reduction, but
Is that
it's 45. Shoots flames at them.
Does that reduce the muzzle velocity though?
Yeah.
Because that might make it that might mess with how you need a certain muzzle velocity for the hunting regulations over here. So
yeah, I probably would, because I'm sure with reduced recoil and the loss of that would change your velocity. I'm sure. I think it was mainly meant for recoil reduction and to shoot a little, reacquire your target faster. Is what I get out of it.
man, so I just got my little old 9mm Glock. Can't take that onto hunting lands anymore, not legally, and shoot it. So
Yeah, and I actually have a Glock 19 Gen 4 right here in front of me too.
I got my Glock 17 Gen 4.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Can't go hunting with it.
Oh, yeah.
But I like it anyways. So basically, I think where we're at is, I don't know what the hell's going to happen for the next these regulations that these executive actions that they're passing don't make a lot of sense, other than that they're going to try and claim that gun violence is some kind of disease and use the government doctors to regulate it. And if the states don't cooperate, they'll cancel their money. And federal money seems to make the state's world go around. So anyway, this has been a Monday Lock and Load on doing Pono Gun Rights. Thanks. This is a Hawaii Volcano Squad broadcasting for the Pineapple Pentagon in Kona, Hawaii, where the Huma Huma Nuku Nuku Apu fish just swims on by every day. And that's the Hawaiian state fish. It's basically Hawaiian triggerfish. So in case nobody knows, that's what it is. And thanks for listening, and I hope to see y'all back next week.
Peace.
All right. Peace.
Yep.
We're out.